So how do you find the volume with cubes with fraction lengths? Well, what you're essentially doing is you're going to find out how many smaller cubes with the dimensions given can fit into the prism. So in order to do that, you're essentially going to split all the sides up by the dimension that's given. So if I look at this problem here, it says how many cubes with side lengths of 1/4 centimeter does it take to fill the prism? Well, if I have a cube with a side length of 1/4 centimeter, it would look like this. 1/4 for the height, 1/4 for the width, and 1/4 for the length. If I placed that cube on the figure or inside this prism, it would be splitting up all the dimensions that were given, 2, 7/4, and 1. So what they're essentially asking is, how many splits could it make? So if I took 2 and I've divided it by 1/4, that would tell me how many cubes could go across the length in this case. If I took 7/4 and I divided it by 1/4, that would tell me how many 1/4 cubes could go across the width. And if I took 1 and divided it by 1/4, that would tell me how many 1/4 cubes could go along the height. So we just have to do that math. So 2 divided by 1/4. And hopefully you're aware that the answer is 8, but if not, we'll just go ahead and rewrite it as 2/1 divided by 1/4. And then we'll keep change and flip. And we're going to say 2/1 times flip 1/4 gives you 4/1. Multiply across, 2 times 4 is 8/1. So this is 8. So it takes 8 of the 1/4 cubes to go across this 2 centimeter distance. I do the same thing with 7/4. When I divide 7/4 by 1/4, I can keep change and flip. That's 7/4 times 4/1. When I multiply across here, I get 7 times 4 is 28 divided by 4. And 28 divided by 4 gives me 7. So there are 7 cubes going across this way. Finally, for 1 divided by 1/4, 1 divided by 1/4, which again, I hope you know that the answer is 4, but if not, we're going to keep change and flip. 1/1 stays 1/1, and it's multiplied by 4/1. Multiply across, 1 times 4 is 4/1, and so there are 4 cubes that expand the height. So if it's 8 across the length, 7 across the width, and 4 across the height, to find the final answer, all I have to do is multiply 8 by 7 by 4. 8 times 7 is 56 times 4, and 56 times 4 would be 4 times 50 is 200, plus 4 times 6 is 24, so 224. So altogether, 224 of these 1/4 centimeter cubes could fit in this prism to fill it up. So 224 of the 1/4 centimeter cubes. So let's take a look at this scenario. A rectangular prism with a volume of 4 cubic units is filled with cubes with side lengths of 1/3 of a unit. How many 1/3 unit cubes does it take to fill the prism? So this is similar with a small extension. So what's happening now is, in order for me to find out how many 1/3 unit cubes it takes to fill a 4 cubic unit prism, I need to find out how many 1/3 unit cubes it would take 1/3 by 1/3 by 1/3 to fill a 1 by 1 unit cube. Once I figure that out, since there are 4 cubic units, I'm just going to multiply that final answer by 4. So essentially, again, I'm asking how many 1/3 could fit into 1. So 1 divided by 1/3 will tell me how many could fit in the height. 1 divided by 1/3 would tell me how many could fit along the length. And 1 divided by 1/3 would tell me how many could fit along the width. So what is 1 divided by 1/3? 1 divided by 1/3 is really 3, but again, if I need to, I'll say 1 over 1 divided by 1/3, and I'm going to keep, change, and flip. So that's 1 over 1 times 3 over 1, and 1 times 3 is 3 over 1, and that gives me 3. So each of these sides, so this side would require 3 of the 1/3 unit cubes. This side will require 3 of the 1/3 unit cubes. And this side would also require 3 of the 1/3 unit cubes. So what that means is I take my 3's, this 3, and this 3, and I multiply them. So 3 times 3 times 3, it gives me 9 times 3, which is 27. So there are 27 of these cubes in one of the cubic units. 27 in one. So if the volume is 4 cubic units, I'm just going to take the 27 that fits into 1, and I'm going to multiply that by 4. So 27 times 4 would be 20 times 4, which is 80, plus 7 times 4, which is 28. So that's 108 of the 1/3 units would fill 4 of these. Because again, each one is 27, another 27, you have another one with another 27, and then a fourth one with another 27. So 27 times 4 would be 108 of the 1/3 cubic units. So that's the process. At the end of the day, you're going to take one of the sides, so which in this case is 1/3. And if I was to show you kind of a shortcut, if you notice, all I really did to answer this question was take the denominator, which was a 3, and I multiplied it by itself 3 times. So 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And so that is how many 1/3 unit cubes it takes to fill a 1 unit cube. Then, since it's 4 cubic units, I'm going to multiply that by 4. 27 times 4, again, is 108. So that is a quicker way to do it. So I did the first part so you have a conceptual understanding, but if you take the denominator and multiply it by itself 3 times, and then multiply by the volume, that will tell you how many cubes it takes to fill that shape. Hope that helps. Let's get it done.